Hey, welcome back to Triple Farm Outdoors. It is coming up on the latter half of July, and you can see here, I've got corn. So you may be asking, Mark, what are you doing with corn in July when everything's greened out? Deer got plenty of food. I got a bean field across the road. What are you doing with corn this time of year, especially in Indiana where you can't bait? Here's what I'm telling you. So this video is going to be about doing a camera survey to get a good feel for what your deer population is. Something that I learned through the NDA in the Deer Steward 1 class, and touched on it again in Deer Steward 2. Something we've never done is do a true survey to find out kind of what's your deer population. Number of things you can get from doing a deer survey, and I'll talk about the steps involved in doing it, but you can get not only your total deer population, you can get your buck to doe ratio. It's really cool to see what your bucks are. I know we've got 2 shooters, but when you do this survey and you've got corn out and you're running a camera, you get to check out all of the bucks you've got. You get to check out the fawns. Technically, I guess probably not your fawn recruitment ratio, which is how many fawns you can get, how many fawns are born based off of your does and fawns that come in. But recruitment really means do they make it 6 months and they're not really on their feet 6 months yet. But we got a number of fawns we've seen on camera too. But I'm going to do this survey and I'm going to kind of walk you through what that entails. Again, not something we've ever done here, but I think based off of my recent class, it's a number of things we're going to do different this year, from observation surveys to an annual deer survey. It allows you to really fine tune your harvest plan. And while we only have 75 acres plus here and we're surrounded by a bunch of other deer hunters, you can't really control the population all that much, but you can do your part. And if we can get a co-op going with some of these other groups around us and some of the other properties around us and share some of this intel, I think it'll go a long way with helping us improve our overall health of our deer herd and get us to some quality bucks. So super pumped about that. So now let's talk about the survey. I am not an expert, but I've gone through the steward classes. If you want to find a good document on this process, you can go to the NDA's website and you can do a search on camera surveys, and you'll find an article that was written that basically details how it works. But I will tell you what we're doing. You want to do one bait site for every 100 acres is what the data tells you. So I've got one site, it's pretty centrally located. It's a place where we run feeders after the season's over. And so I know we get the same deer here in the middle of the property where we get in the back where we do a lot of our hunting. So I think it's a good location. You want to clear the ground. So I already ran a bush hog down the trail where I'm going to do it. It's going to be right off the Chevy trail. And you want to put corn out and you want to put a camera out and you want to let the corn, and you want to keep a bait pile going for, call it 7 days, so that you make sure all the deer find it. And it takes a couple days for them to get on it. But once they get on it, you can, at least in our experience with our feeders, they will be back. But we're going to run a camera for 7 days, not really to capture any pictures off of it. I want to make sure that the camera is set up correctly, it's working properly, it's at the right angle so that I can capture good images of the deer, so I can look at what deer are unique and what deer are not. And then after that 7 days, we will start actually collecting pictures, and we're going to try to run this for 14 days after the 7-day starting period. We'll run the actual survey for 14 days. And what you'll get, and we'll set our cameras at a probably 5 minute lapse time so that we don't capture a ton of pictures. Like, I know I'll get thousands of pictures, but set them at 5 minute intervals. And we'll do that for 14 days. Like I said, then we're going to pull all those pictures, and you're basically going to group these pictures into all bucks, even replicate bucks, right? Ones that you've seen many, many, many times on camera during that 14 days. You're going to get a total number of bucks and separate those pictures. You're going to get does and you're going to get fawns. And then basically what you do is go back through your buck pictures, because they're a little more easily recognizable as unique deer. Hard to tell does from different does sometimes. So you basically get the ratio of unique bucks to your total bucks and apply that same ratio to does and fawns to figure out how many unique does and fawns you have, based off of the ratio of bucks. And the assumption is that does and bucks will come back to the bait pile at roughly the same rate. So pretty cool. Again, first time I've done it, but I'll take you along on this journey. We do it and kind of show you what the results tell us. So super pumped to give it a shot. Again, getting ready to go throw corn out. Make sure I get a good pile. It should last us the 7 days. I'll get a camera on it, show you what that looks like, and then we'll kind of stay out of that area. I do have a little bit of habitat work that I need to do, and I'll probably hammer some of that out in this area tomorrow so that I can minimize traffic in that area, other than checking corn to make sure the bait hasn't run out. So anyway, looking forward to sharing it. Okay, let me show you the simple setup. We have corn pile, which you may not be able to see very well. Got a corn pile. It's 2 bags of 40 pounds each, so it's quite a bit. It'll take them a while to find it. My guess is they're not going to get it all before it's all said and done. And then behind me, you can look right there, is the non-cell cam. So again, I set the timing on 5 minutes so that I'm only getting a picture every 5 minutes when deer are in here and not getting one every 5 seconds that I normally do on cameras. But that's the setup. And then I got a couple of things I want to mention, but I want to get out of the woods and then we'll get everything set up and then we'll finish up. So we got the bait pile set up. We got the camera set up. Again, 5-minute interval on the camera so you don't get swamped. I guess I want to talk a little bit about timing of when to do these surveys. There's a number of different ways you can do it. The primary thing you're looking for is the unique bucks. And while it is towards the end of July, and it'll be end of July into August when I actually get to collect these pictures, antlers are still growing, but they at this point have pretty much been defined so that I can tell which bucks are which. And you want to do it before acorns start dropping later in the fall. Clearly, you can't bait in Indiana during deer season, so that limits you when you can do it. But you want to do it before acorns start falling so that they're coming to the corn and they're not avoiding the corn because they're all in acorn patches. So again, and the other timing that a lot of people do these is immediately after the season is over while bucks still have their antlers. You can do it then as well. Kind of the risk in that one is some of them drop a little bit early, so you can't tell if it's a unique buck or not if they've already started shedding. One of the benefits of doing it late in the season like that is you actually can get your fawn recruitment because they're over 6 months old. You know how many made it to their first breeding season. So, but I'm doing mine now, and we're going to see how this turns out. And if it turns out to be a good survey, then this will be the time of year we do it every year. Just want to be consistent in when you do it so that your data year to year is applicable. So that's it. And I guess we'll wait now and see what these pictures look like. Okay, so it has been 1 week since I put the corn and camera out to start my camera survey. And again, timing wise, you want to do that for a week, make sure the deer can find it, and then start your 2-week camera survey. So I'm going to refresh corn, make sure there's enough corn out there, and then I'm going to pull the card on that camera and see what's on it. Super pumped to do that. But then 2, make sure it's working, that it's functioning correctly, battery life is good, and that we've got the right angle and distance away from the corn pile so that we know we can get a good assessment of individual deer, particularly the bucks when they're in. So I'm going to go pull the camera card now and see what's on it. Not a lot left of my corn pile, so they've been getting it. And it looks like it's as much rain as we've had. It looks like stuff's starting to get pretty soggy. So I'm going to put a couple bags out, new bags, and then middle of probably next week, early next week, I'll come check it again. If I got to put more out, I'll put more out. But looks like they've been hammering the corn pile. At least something has, whether it's deer or squirrels or raccoons. I'm sure I got a little bit of all of them. Okay, so I pulled the card for the first time after my week of making sure the deer can find it. And a couple things you want to do. 1, my batteries are still good. 2, I copied the pictures off the SD card and put the same SD card back in. You know, it happens to everybody that runs a lot of trail cameras. Sometimes you stick an SD card in and it's not good, or you forgot to delete it, didn't get it reformatted. So I reformatted that one, used the same one, put it back in the same SD card and put it back in the camera. And here are an example of pictures that I think are good, and I'll show you a little bit, a little more clearly here. So I've got a good distance away from, the camera's a good distance away from the corn pile. This is a picture of a doe in the corn pile, and clearly I can see it clearly enough. There's a buck, by the way. So he is one that I will be able to identify. You can see his different heights and brow tines, but the goal of this is to make sure you can identify unique bucks as well as get a good count. Now, sometimes you get pictures that are that you can't tell if it's a buck or doe, and you don't count those. So if you know for sure it's at least an antlerless deer or a fawn, you count it, and then you count all your bucks, and then you go back in and identify the unique bucks to do the math, and I'll show you that math here in a little while. Okay, well, it's official. Day 14 of the deer study. Gonna get ready to pull the camera, start downloading pictures and go through all of that. I will tell you, I had to recorn a couple days ago, and we had 507 pictures. And if you remember, it was like 160 something in the first week, but 500 in the last 2 weeks. So, and I will also show you what's left of the corn pile. And I think I put out, I don't know, constantly had to come refill, but it was probably 8 bags of corn in the last 2 weeks. So we shall see. Should be a lot of pictures. Let's get the camera. Da, da, da. Well, I went through all the pictures in the deer survey, and not easy, I can tell you that, especially when you got a lot of bucks. So, but here's the results of our first deer survey. So you can see we had 798 pictures of deer. Now, 600 and some actual pictures, but multiple deer and a lot of pictures. 798 deer, 413 bucks and 325 does, and 60 pictures of fawns. So that gives you your total count of all of the deer that you had in all your pictures. Well, the next step is to identify your unique bucks. And again, you throw out pictures that you can't really tell what they are, but trying to find unique bucks, and you come up with all these creative names like short G2 10-pointer, highbrow 10-pointer, half rack, because we had one that looks like only had one side. But anyway, you identify your unique bucks, and we had 10 unique bucks in our survey. And with that, you take the total buck pictures you had and the unique bucks, and you take unique bucks divided by total pictures of bucks, and you get a population factor. 0.024 was our population factor. And so the way this survey works is you are now applying, if you had 435 pictures of bucks and there were 10 unique ones, you're going to make the assumptions, because you can't identify unique does, you're going to make the assumption that the same ratio applies to your does. So you apply the correction factor to your does, and your fawns is considered the population of the deer that came to your camera. And you had 10 bucks, that gives you 8 does and 1 fawn. So we had 19 deer total. Interesting. We'll talk about that in a little bit more. But then the other thing you do is you apply a correction factor for the number of deer that you have on your property that didn't come to the corn pile. In our case, I know we've got one buck that's got a lot going on. He's got a separate main beam coming out the front. He's got a couple splits in the back. He's got some crazy stuff coming on, but he was never in camera. So again, that correction factor applies and takes into account those deer that never made it into the camera. Now you apply that correction factor, and you've got 11 bucks, 9 does, and 2 fawns. And it's pretty close. I know we've got at least 3 fawns because there was twins and singles that came into some of them, but it's close. When you apply the doe to buck ratio, which ideally you're going to be 1 to 1.1, we're actually 0.79. So we have more bucks than we do does. And if I step back and think about the last couple years, since we've owned the farm, we've taken more does than we have bucks. And we've been very selective about our bucks. And so those two things over a number of years are coming to fruition. And you can actually see it, at least in this first set of data, right? Don't want to make too many assumptions because there's only one survey. We know and we feel like we see more bucks than we do does. This survey would indicate that we've got more bucks than we do does. I guess the other thing that I want to say about our pictures too, and last year was a great example. Last year we saw a lot of bucks, especially during that prime time rut. We saw a lot of bucks when we were on stand. In fact, there were several days when things were hot and heavy, when we would be in for half a day and two different hunters would see 12 to 14 bucks, just cruising and chasing does. So the data in the survey kind of applies to that. It is applicable. It does feel like the survey captured what we thought it was going to capture. A couple things that you wind up doing once you get this survey, right? And it's one data point. So you want to do the same survey every year at the same time. So in my spreadsheet, I captured the days that I started, the number of days I pre-baited, the number of days for the actual survey, so I can try to replicate it again next year and try to get a feel for what's changed. Like, I feel like the survey was good. It did show what I thought it was going to show, and I don't want to read into the data too much, but that's how you do a deer survey. So again, NDA's got a great, if you go on the National Deer Association website, go into the search function, click on deer camera survey, search for that. You'll find a great article that basically walks you through all this. But I wanted to give you a feel for what the survey looks like here and how we did it at Triple B Farm. So hope you found it was worthwhile. It's probably a little dry. I'm a little bit of a nerd, engineering background. I like the numbers. Super fun to be able to apply this. And now what you do is you take this data and, like I said, year after year after year, figure out what you've harvested, see what you can figure out what your neighbors have harvested, see what the impact is to your deer herd. This is one way for you to track it.